So we were at... We just
Cyberpunk
watched the
teaser.
Cyberpunk trailer. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's all I got. So, they made Witcher 2. The company that is making this Cyberpunk alleged game, 2077, is from the makers of Witcher 2. They are set in, apparently, very nearby San Jose. I looked at the map. San Jose, California.
CD Projekt.
And it's CD Projekt Red.
No,
the people who
no,
made
they're in
Witcher
Poland.
2. Is it
They're
not
Polish.
Red?
No, they're Polish. They're in
So are we.
Warsaw. Yeah, they're in Warsaw, Poland.
Fantastic. But no,
You
that's not
fucked
where
up.
their setting. That's not their
Oh,
setting. I mean the
Oh,
setting
right.
for
You mean CD,
Cyberpunk
you mean Cyberpunk?
2077.
Yeah, fine.
The setting for Cyberpunk 2077 is apparently in San Jose, California. The setting is from a pen and paper RPG called Cyberpunk 2013. It is not a coincidence that it's coming out this year. All these videos and all of this hype is coming out in 2013 because the original pen and paper RPG was made in the setting of 2013. We're supposed to already have all these augments, but apparently we're behind the times. Fuck. If only we lived in San Jose, California, we would have all this shit. I'm drinking as we speak.
I don't know about everybody else, but yeah, I'm buying this as soon as it comes out. So yeah.
You don't even know anything about the gameplay.
I know.
I know.
It's gonna
Okay,
be
so
an RPG.
more accurate. I mean, this game should be an MMORPG. I don't know if that's what's going to be or
Yeah,
not.
it's not. I don't think so.
It's just an RPG. I expect it to be sort of like Deus Ex.
It can be a lot like Deus Ex.
Okay, that could be lame. But I'm a huge fan of the Cyberpunk pen and paper RPG, even though I have never actually played it. I've only, I've been kind of like a guest GM for a couple of games. The Cyberpunk series in general, I mean, Cyberpunk, Steampunk, any of those kinds of things, I really, really enjoy. So this is really fun to me. And anybody that was a fan of Ghost in the Shell, Cyberpunk is right up your alley.
I raise my hand. I am a fan of Ghost in the Shell. I'm also a fan of pen and paper RPGs. I'm a fan of everything that Aaron just said.
I'd expect this to be a lot like the pen and paper RPG because CD Projekt are pretty true to their source material.
Cool.
Oh, that means this should be a really fun game.
I want to break down the trailer a little bit at this point because in the original pen and paper RPG, it was designed around a system in which any given bullet could end you as a player. It was designed to be really, really realistic. And in the trailer, you saw at least, 1, 2, 3 bullets striking I want to say the protagonist, but it's not the protagonist, the female character, and didn't kill her. They just bounced off. That is an example of a possibility of possibly straying away from the original theme of the original pen and paper RPG. I can't be sure, but
I know
these things are telling.
I know that the creator of the pen and paper RPG is going to be closely involved in making it, or maybe not closely, but he's definitely involved in some way because they're doing speeches with him and things like that, and they're normally try to be involved with the original people because The Witcher isn't an original IP either. It's a book series. It's a Polish book series, and they made an IP out of that for games, and they did a really good job out of it, and they're really true to the story. So I'm hoping this is another thing that they keep really true.
And in the pen and paper RPG, you can get augments for your muscles to make it so that the bullets kind of to some degree don't do as much damage. So I assume that that's what they were going for in that particular trailer because they have to assume that the people who watch the trailer are completely knowledgeable or else the trailer's worthless.
And there's also a possibility for bullet failure too.
They were all in sort of really at the edge of her person. They weren't center of body hits. So
glancing blows.
I'm just going to go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt that she had these augments that make her more resilient to bullet fire.
Yeah, she, if you're listening to the radio thing at the beginning, the police radio, it was It was just a radio. I don't know what it was, but they were saying that she like killed 5 people and there was like 5 dead bodies. And knowing CD Projekt and how they have like this like really grey morality in like the Witcher world and like in everything they try and do, they try and have like really grey view on morality. Like there is no good and bad. There's only like different like shades, and like they've got like in The Witcher there was like a lot of thing about like magic being used to like make people do things that they're not aware of and things like that. So she could have had like a computer virus in her or something like that, because afterwards she was in a police thing as a police person. I'm a bit confused by the trailer.
Actually,
Very
that
cool
was
point.
you just hit on the thing that I really wanted to bring up. They show her as like the vast majority of the trailer, of course, is just really showing the police subdue her after she goes on this rampage, and then the end of the trailer they show her as now she's in the same unit as the policemen that eventually subdue her, and which is really fun to me, knowing a little bit more about the world. It's also an entire possibility that they just took and reprogrammed her to be a police officer, which is a fun story,
That's what I
plot
thought.
hook. And it's one of those, the risks too of in the game of doing the a lot of the enhancements, where the possibility that you could your physical body could get hacked was always one of those risks. The more implants that you had, so that story in and of itself is really fun. I want to know where they're going to go with it. I will probably watch this one fairly closely. And I am thoroughly ecstatic about this game at this point.
I'm so excited. I've got a few points. The idea that you saw the camera angle. The camera when that policeman showed up and had this gun to her head. Speaking of which, I paused when they passed over the gun. I had to. It said, those red letters on the barrel of the gun said Militech 12 gauge. That was a shotgun. Just
Yeah, I knew that.
throwing that out there. That was a shotgun. What? How do they make a 12 gauge shotgun? Fantastic.
It's 2077.
Yay! It's
That's
2077.
how.
That's how. It's 2077. That's how.
When in doubt, just make it the future.
Yeah. This is gonna have a really deep story, like a really deep background story, because it's CD Projekt and that's just what they do. There's gonna be loads of references to the original game.
Some of
It's just gonna be good. CD Projekt know how to make games, like they properly know how to make games, and they have loads of respect for the consumers, which is something that I appreciate.
some of the best writing in video gaming today from CD Projekt Red. So that's one reason to look forward to this, if nothing else. So he has this gun to her head, right? And the camera passes over the badge, pays a huge amount of attention to the badge, this police badge, and gives it this, the light hits it in such a way that you know that this is a glorious, uplifting type of thing. This is where justice is. They want to portray the police as this really good thing, which I appreciate, because in gaming today, 99.5% of games, when they portray the police, they are antagonists or ignorant. At worst, they're antagonists, and at best, they're stupid. So, in a game where they right off the bat say, here's the police, they're doing something fantastic, I'm like, whoa, that actually shocks me. That's way more shocking than the police getting killed left and right in a trailer. So I'm sort of interested in everyone's perspective on the police being portrayed in this weird light. I say weird. It's not actually weird. It's just different from the norm. And
Well,
John hasn't gotten his chance yet. I want to hear John's perspective.
Okay.
Well, I don't know much about the world, unfortunately. I never played the pen and paper RPG. And not even knowing nothing about it, just seeing this trailer and knowing nothing, I was excited about it. It was like an awesome idea. But then again, I like future games. I love the XCOM series. Deus Ex was a fantastic title in my opinion, the first one at least. Um, and it just looked like fun. I don't know any of the backstory, and I don't know what the gameplay is going to be like, so I'm not going to say I'm going to buy it or anything like that. But I can't wait to see more. So
I didn't know anything about this game until I did the research. I'll be perfectly honest. I saw the story, I saw the trailer, and I was like, that's a cool trailer. And then I started doing the research and got all this information that I pulled out now. Of course, in watching the trailer, I did pick up on the weird perspective on the badge of the police officer.
I do have to point out, Weasel, that already in this I have illustrated the possibility that they have reprogrammed the female character to be a police officer.
I do have some perspective on that, if you would like my perspective.
Oh, I'd love your perspective.
I did the research, and I found out that they intended this to be the example of how a person could be brought into the fold of the organization that the actual game takes place within. So the police wing that fights the people who have too much android tech, have too many augments, and start rebelling against biology in general. Those people, they have a specific police force that fights against them, and this is how people get introduced into that police force. Is they are the overly augmented people, and the people who aren't too far gone to see reason, they bring into to fight against other people who are too far gone to see reason. So they take her and they bring her in, and apparently they don't have to kill her to get her to stop. And so they take her in and they give her the talk, the this is where babies come from talk. Except instead of babies, it's homicidal robot people. So homicidal robot people come from these augments. Hey, would you like to make the world a better place instead of being dead? And she's like, oh, duh. And they shave her head, and they make her this contributing member to society, but she still listens to this rebellious music. And that's what the trailer's all about, I think. So there's your perspective. What do you think now?
I think that it's a rather, I don't know how I feel about the title now. Actually, that's interesting. I think I would have been better off operating under my slight mystery assumptions on that one.
I think that's always the case. If you have the wiggle room to extrapolate, and you suddenly have that wiggle room removed, and you are told exactly what the developer intended, pretty much all of the time it's actually worse.
Yeah. That being said, I'm still really looking forward to the game. I'm just actually they still have all the possibility for everything I hope for from the game, so I'm just gonna stop there, and I'm gonna go, okay.
Here's a point
and I want to see what
make.
they do with it.
I have the opportunity to make this point, and I'm gonna make it. There is a point in every designer's world in which they have to decide between letting the player make this fantasy realm for their own head and sticking 100% to their vision. And I think that CD Projekt Red always sticks to their vision and just makes this world for themselves. They're like, this is exactly what I have. Whether or not it's better than what you make, this is what it actually is. And I'm going to be steel about this. And other people, I can't really think of an example right now, which is really weird to me because I feel like there are a million in my head, but I can't come up with one individually. Maybe somebody else can help me out with that. They aren't willing to budge. They're just like, we're writers, we're writing what we want to write. So fuck off with your shit.
Drink.
CD Projekt do not give a shit. Like, they just don't fucking care. Oh. Dear.
It's weird that this is a good thing. Like, this is
It's
good.
because they're not censoring their game, and they're not pandering to people and what they want, because they know they're the people who are making games because they know how to make a game, and they're writing a story because they know how to write a story. It's not like up to like some random person how the story should be written.
So this is. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm trying
And like
to
the
interrupt
fact that they can, the fact that they can stick with it and it not have a huge controversy around it shows that they're doing something right. Like The Witcher 2, we were talking about earlier about rape in the Lara Croft trailer. The Witcher 2 had rape in it. It was a part because it's a really dark fantasy universe, right? And they try and portray things negatively, and there's like some really dark shit in that game. But nobody ever talked about it because it was just part of the game and it was fitting with the universe. And the way they wrote it in, it wasn't like rape for the sake of rape. It was like, this guy's a fucking asshole. Shit like that. They have a really strong vision, and it's a really good vision. And they just have a lot of integrity, like in a lot of what they do as well. Because if you look at their website, their competitor to Steam is called GOG, for Good Old Games. On that website, they sell games, and Cyberpunk will be like this, and The Witcher was like this, with absolutely no anti-piracy software on it. So, like, you buy the game, and you'll always have the game, and you can copy it onto a CD. They're not going to stop you. They'd rather you didn't, but they trust you with things that you've paid money for, that you are going to be responsible. Things like they're respectable. I like them.
GOG is a fantastic service. Just gonna toss that out there before anything else goes on. I love GOG. I promote GOG. GOG is great.
So my thing with this game is obviously it's a game that's being made out of a pen and paper role playing game, and what is the beauty of pen and paper role playing games as a gamer, or the thing with those is the pen and paper role playing game gives you a universe, gives you rules for exploring it, and then says, go do whatever you want to. And the problem with making those into a game is you can't effectively, truly sand tray it, as a lot of people would like to see. You can't just be like, here you go, make a character, go do whatever you want. There is a story, there is something that you kind of have to follow. Even in the best, sand tray or sandbox RPGs, there's still there's still a lot of confines to the story. So, like, what I'm hoping to see and what I would really like to see out of this game in particular is, okay, so you have one story, and not just really one story, a story that's affected by the decisions that you make throughout the game, in where you start from this place. So you play the character that had too much tech or whatever and winds up part of this unit, okay? So you have that story. Or you have the story of you're a person and you decide to add tech, you decide not to, whatever. You wind up, like if you add the tech, you wind up being this person that has too much tech, and you wind up with the option to join or the option to fight. That kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I would really like to see out of this game. I don't know what they're going to do with it. And there's a lot of possibility there. There's a lot of possibility to get it wrong. It sounds like they're a respectable company and they're going to do a good job of it. That's why I'm excited. I would like to see a game, because it's made based on a pen and paper role-playing game where anything is possible. I want to see a lot of choice and a lot of ability to to affect my story, and not just be like where I play through and I get from point to point and I follow along the story that they have written. I want them to have story, but I want to be able to affect it as a player, because it's based on that. It's a role-playing game, and I want to be able to I want to be able to step in and I want to be able to make decisions as a player in this world and see where that takes me.
I want to talk
wanna
about
see.
why this is and is not possible. The best example of this in gaming today, the most exciting example, is the Mass Effect series. Mass Effect let you choose all of these things over the course of the game. So many things that they let you change and toy around with. And they're like, okay, this entire character is gone from the series over a 3-game series. In game 1, that let you kill off 2 characters, at least. Or not kill off one of them, maybe. And so you go through the entire course of the game. The end of the game, completely the same. This, regardless of what you've picked. All of the endings are completely the same. So that's the evidence I want to give toward it being not particularly possible, because development over the course of a game series, if you at moment 1 have a choice between being of this one faction or being completely unrelated to this one faction, fighting against that faction, in fact, because they're pretty much polar opposites. You can't say, I have all of the augments and I'm okay with that, or I am a police officer and will fight against the people with all the augments from moment 1 and not expect it to be a completely divergent path.
That's the thing. It is possible. It is possible to do that. And that was one of the major letdowns of Mass Effect, as you say. Is that it wasn't possible in that game. And
Well,
there
how
are
possible
games
is it
that have
if
been
someone
out,
with such a huge budget as the Mass Effect series couldn't pull it off?
With Mass Effect, it's because they didn't want to. They could have done different endings. It's not hard to do different endings. Like, The Witcher 2 had different endings. They can do it. It's just that they didn't want to. And then when people had a backlash on it, they didn't want to change it, which is actually fair enough. But the reason that ending was bad was because it went against the grain of the whole series, right?
Well, you say
They
it's
could've-
possible, but you have to pay. Okay, how many people are involved in the process of making an ending? You've got 3D renderers, you've got storyboard writers, you've got editors trying to figure out exactly which storyboards are okay. You've got there are a huge amount of people that you have to pay money to figure out to work out various endings. And there have been games that have done multiple endings in the past, but they haven't been super highly intensive like 3D, like AAA games are today. So much money that has to be spent into each individual facet.
I think it's
I think
possible.
honestly, honestly, at this point, as much as I would love to continue arguing about this, it's time to move on to the next topic because we've talked this one to death.
It's plausible. Next topic. All right. So, Brian Reynolds, the developer for the Rise of Nations series, which I believe John has played, he joined Zynga, the company that is evil and no one loves. In 2009, he joined Zynga, and about halfway through this month, he left Zynga and is a free man. So this gives us a huge opportunity to talk about both Rise of Nations and the evils of Zynga. The various evils. So,
Fucking Zynga.
It's fucking Zynga.
Oh,
Drink,
I need to
drink.
drink.
Drink. Touche, sir.
Zynga is company behind Farmville and stuff like that, right?
That is correct. They were the original creators of the game Farmville. Whether or not the concept of Farmville was original is up for debate.
Their most recent projects are Coasterville, Slingo, Citizen Grim, a bunch of Facebook games is what they play.
I don't know. The names for the other ones are a little too vague to call, but I'm pretty sure Coasterville has been covered by, Sim Coaster.
Yeah, exactly. Zynga sucks. There's no reason to talk about them. Rise of Nations was good. Rise of Nations.
Let's chat about the thing that is more positive. Rise of Nations being good. Why do you love Rise of Nations, John?
Look, it wasn't fantastic. It was a decent real-time strategy game that had a really cool idea. It was set in the future. It was sort of like an Alpha Centauri thing. This came out about the same time. I'm gonna say about 2003, 2002, give or take. So this is a little while ago. So I don't know what he's done since then, but if I saw a remake of Rise of Nations, I would consider playing it heavily.
You say consider playing heavily. Like, that's the same sort of term that I would use for flip my shit. Like, John is much more conservative in his terminology. That's all I'm saying. I say
Yeah.
I would adore something the same way John would say, yeah, it's alright.
I played. Well, let's put it this way. I played the demo. I think I got a gamer CD back in the day when they still had demos on CDs and magazines from PC Gamer or
That was the
something like
shit.
that.
I remember those days.
And I could only play like I think it was half an hour at a time in one game, or maybe an hour. And I played that over and over and over again until I finally bought the game and I played the crap out of it. So it was a good game back in the
That would
day.
make a great segment. What game did you play back in the day for hours and hours and hours that was like on a CD and shit?
That all you had was
I bet everybody has one. That's all we got. That's all we got for Zynga and Rise of Nations. I think somebody else has to have something.
Well, I did not play Rise of Nations. We've established that Zynga was evil and stupid. I think I'm good.
That's a nice summary. That's a great summary, dude. Good job, dude. I'm going to move on to a very heavy topic. Very heavy topic called Halo 3 Brutal Legend Fez, all allegedly on the Steam upcoming IDs database. They have since been replaced with temporary test names. So holy shit, these three games are pretty huge deals. I really, really wanted to play Fez.
Oh,
but
we're
it was
gonna
on
get Fez.
XBLA or whatever it is, Xbox Live Arcade. Only on Xbox, I couldn't touch it. So
We watched a video that had Fez. They're talking about game developers and something. I was
Yeah,
pretty sure
yeah,
I
that
watched
was
it.
Indie Game the movie.
oh,
Indie
Yeah,
Game
that-
the movie.
Yep.
Indie Game the movie. That's right.
I
It
watched that like yesterday.
yeah.
was pretty cool. It was very inspirational for me. I liked that movie when I first watched it. I don't know if it's particularly relevant anymore, but it was pretty cool.
It's alright.
I've since done some research on the Fez guy, and apparently he just up and vanished. Like, during development, he would just disappear. And so that's why the other person that was involved in the Fez development project was so adamant about being separated from him, was because he would just vanish for no reason and not give any warning, and then he would show up again and be like, hey, yeah, I'm every
Sounds
bit
like
as part
Axl
of this
Rose.
as you are.
Yeah,
you're
pretty
not.
much. That's a good reference, actually.
So it's Fez,
Very-
Guns N' Roses.
So there's two parts of every story. That's the story here. And if all of these come up on PC, that's a great boon for Steam, really. That's all that is. Steam makes
I wanna
more
play
money.
Fez.
That's a
wanna
new
play Fez.
story. Steam
What-
makes
what
more
are the-
money is a story every single month for sure.
What are the other two games apart from Fez?
Well, we've got Halo 3 and Brutal Legend, which isn't so much of a story for
What?
most people.
I
It's-
did
fuck
want
is
to
that?
play Brutal Legend. Brutal
too,
Legend
man.
is a Jack Black game.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, I played the demo for Brutal Legend. It was pretty fun actually.
I heard a quote from the developers when they were trying to pick out the character, the like protagonist for that story. They were like, "I think we need somebody Jack Blacky." They were like, "Oh, why don't we try and get Jack Black?" And they're like, okay." So they got Jack
Oh.
Black.
It's interesting.
It's like it's a fun hack and slash game with some metal humor and
Oh, I've seen this, I've
crazy
seen
shit.
this.
That's
So,
what the trailer was. But the actual game is actually a real-time strategy. Like, after you get
What?
through the tutorial that is an action slasher game,
yeah.
which was really fun and really humorous and really enjoyable, they apparently transition into a real-time strategy game where you try and, like, get the gods of metal to help you out. If they had just done an action slashy awesome game from the beginning with Jack Black as a protagonist, then everyone would have loved it, I think.
Who gives a shit about Halo 3?
I give a
gives an
shit about Halo 3. That's who.
Why? Why?
Because I haven't played it because it's on a fucking console and I play.
Yeah, it's old and
PC
outdated
games?
now. Do you want to play Call of Duty 4?
No, I don't want to play Call of Duty. That's because it's a Call of Duty game, and we all hate Call of Duty games.
Well,
And
it was,
so
it
why?
was the last good one.
Actually, I probably would play Call of Duty 4. I'm embarrassed to admit I would probably play that
I like Call of Duty 4.
if it was super cheap. You know.
I don't give a fuck about Halo 3. It's been too long. It's been too long.
Here's the thing. I'm really invested in the Halo storyline. You're right, though. It has been too long. But since I played it on Xbox 360, actually, I played Halo 3 on Xbox 360. I don't need to play it on PC at this point.
Exactly.
If it had come out as a simultaneous release, it would be a much bigger deal. But they probably will make a little bit of money off of it, just not a
Yeah,
whole lot of multiplayer investment.
Who is really excited about Halo 3 coming to PC? I don't think many people are, because if you really care about the story and you've played it on the Xbox, and if you wanted it to play it on PC when it was new, you don't care anymore. You're playing newer games. I don't-
That is such a good point. I don't have much of a counter argument. I
I
think
love the
that
Halo
most of the
series,
people
and
who
I
think
don't
this is
care.
news-
I think Microsoft need to get their heads up their asses and give us Halo as soon as it comes out.
Yeah, simultaneous release.
Or wait a week.
A month.
Yeah, a week.
A month afterward, I think we would still give a shit. But how
Yeah.
many? It's been what, a year and maybe a half
Halo 3?
since Halo 3?
Halo 3 came out when I moved to Fort
It was a
Collins,
launch-
which was in 2006.
Holy!
It was a launch thing for the Xbox. It's like 8 years old, isn't it?
Wow.
2007.
So the point is, Microsoft,
Yeah,
pull
6 years
your
old.
heads out of your collective asses and give us a release within a year, and maybe within a month would give you quite a bit more sales. And
Like, if Halo 4 came out now, I would be interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it comes out in 2019, I do not give a shit.
Damn
we
straight.
give no shits. We give no shit about your late releases.
Imagine
But-
if they
Speaking
did
of
that.
which-
Imagine if they did that for consoles. Imagine if we got a game and then 8 years later the Xbox got it. What?
Yeah.
When
They,
has
they
that
have burned copies.
be shit.
Was it? Well, what about Dark Souls? They just did a PC port to that like a year after the actual game came out. Did it do well?
Somehow
Is it-
that's different. Somehow. Okay, let's
No,
try
no,
and figure out
I'm
why
just
the fuck
wondering
that's
if
different.
anybody knows if it actually succeeded. If people bought the PC version.
Apparently it was a really bad port, but people still bought it. I think.
Oh,
It
okay.
was
I think the main draw for that, and I mean honestly for the Halo system, is you have gamers like me who were console gamers until recently. I have moved away from purchasing consoles and have my computer now, and I don't. The only reason I have played any of the new console games is because I have a friend who has the new console.
Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I've stopped caring about consoles really recently.
point is, they're very late. Fez is actually still relevant because Fez is ridiculous. And
It's different.
I'm moving on because I'm that badass. 2 games are going free to play this month: War of the Roses and Terra Online. There's a lot to talk about generally the free to play topic. War of the Roses, however, has a specific little caveat. No unlocks are available so long as you're playing free to play. You have to pay for the game to get any of the unlocks. There's no progression
Bullshit.
system whatsoever. I'm gonna also call bullshit. Me and Aaron are calling bullshit this early.
Well, it's not bullshit. It's what they're calling it free to play. It's not free to play. You're getting a free demo. That's what it is. At that
Like a
point,
trial service. I get it. It's a trial service.
like if they called it a trial, it would be fine. But I say
think they
bullshit
actually
if they're
are
calling it
calling
free
it a
to play.
trial.
It's like
I'm calling
imagine
it
League
free
of
to play.
Legends if they were like, yeah, it's a free game. You get one character, but then if you want anything else, you have to buy the game. That's not free to play. That's a demo.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Touche. All right.
Why? Why are they going free to play?
But
They're not
Terra
doing one.
Online has a legit free-to-play game going. It literally started today. Today is in the 5th of this month. I don't know when this is going to go up after editing and all that shit, but Terra Online, free-to-play, today, for all of your hipster demon MMORPG needs, in case you need that kind of thing. No, but Terra Online is actually really cool. It's like an
yeah, it looks
MMOR.
good.
It's basically like any other MMORPG, except that instead of like, hey, I click this thing and I go and I attack, it actually, you have to like fucking dodge shit. You have to do some active shit. This was the originator of the active shit MMORPG game.
Drink.
I didn't say that word that you're saying. I said shit a lot. I said a lot of shit.
You go back and rewind the video.
Fine, fine. I will accept it even though I don't remember it. I drank. So it was the first game to start that whole meandering path of chaos. Other games have come since, like, I can't remember. Raiders with the Z. That's a game that started that nonsense. Dragon's Nest came after this game and did the whole active combat thing. It's a thing that has happened that has started because of Terra Online. And I think that Terra Online does it the best. And it's pretty damn good. Now it's free to play. And they don't do the whole remove shit from your game and you have to pay to get your skill bar or whatever. Instead, they do a system in which you have all of the stuff that you have normally when you're free to play, and they added more shit for the people who decide to pay for the game. Like, boosts and all of that. Basically, they copied League of Legends. That's all I got. We copied League of Legends.
I'm gonna download this after this podcast.
I know, dude.
Because-
I was in the beta and I downloaded it just before the podcast. And I was like, fuck yeah, Terra's finally free to play. I'm gonna play this shit instead of anything else.
I've heard that the quests are shit. Like, I
Well,
heard the combat system is what keeps you playing.
They
Like,
say
it's
the
like,
quests are shit, but the quests are no more shit than World of Warcraft. I mean, they're just the same fucking quests you see in any other MMORPG.
Well, does anybody
Yeah,
here still
drink.
play World of Warcraft?
yeah, but apparently
No.
it's really grindy. Like, apparently it's over the top grindy.
I'm not against grinding.
Yeah, I'm gonna reserve my comments on
bedroom.
grinding until we talk about a topic that's coming up later.
Touche, sir.
Like, it's like what DMC is really, isn't it? It's like the old DMCs. It's like there's no real story. It's just like you're just playing it because the combat's really good, and that's what I've heard Terra is, and I'm fine with that. I like good combat, It looks nice. It looks Japanese though, really Japanese.
It looks Korean. Japanese is a completely different.
It
style.
looks Asian. It's got that like uku look to it.
Do that noise again.
Uku.
Yes, that was fantastic.
Like
It's-
less clothes equals more armor.
What bugs me about this game really is that they try to write it as if they're proficient at writing, but they're terrible at writing. They're the worst character writers. Not just character, they're the worst writers of anything ever. Any game I've ever played, they have the single worst writing. And they're like, yeah, we're proficient at writing, so we're just going to write some dialogue and we're going to write some... And what they wind up with is, hooray, we're going to this island. It's very exciting. I would like to adventure in this island. And it's the worst thing ever. It's cliched, and it's so cliche that you want to like face palm, rub your temples, and run away from the computer all at the same time. But as soon as that writing ends, you're like, oh, we're playing this MMORPG, and it's good, it's fun. We're like having an enjoyable time.
So for like people that don't know, it's not hotkey based like WoW was or like Diablo is. It's all like you aim your move and you dodge out of the way. It's like a single player, like an action game, and that's like the main appeal of it.
You
It's got
also have
really-
your hotkeys. I just want to say that. You also have your skills and your spells and your whatever for your class, but you also have to dodge like in any other action game where shit's gonna attack you. You have to fucking avoid the attacks that are gonna deal you damage. And if you're a spellcaster fragile class, then you gotta fucking make sure that you're in a position in which you're not gonna take damage. They've got the like base MMORPG system in place, but you have to keep in mind that if you get hit with something, you're probably just gonna fucking die.
Yeah,
Frank?
I'll
3 times actually, Weasel. That's what drove me away from WoW in the end, was that the combat itself wasn't very exciting. Any MMO that I'm going to play from now on has to have interesting, exciting combat. not to mention a decent story and actually fun game. The rest of it's got to be good too, but minimum has to have good combat systems.
I'm a lot less interested in MMOs nowadays because I think that was kind of like a bit of it was like defined by the times how MMOs were and why they were good was because at the time they were good. But I think if you're going to do an MMO, free to play is definitely the way to go because paying for a box copy of a game and then paying a subscription just to see if you like a game is a bit insane.
No, I don't
Pricing
think anybody's
system
going
is
to be able
pretty
to pull
intense.
them
I agree.
out.
Especially like, have you seen A Secret World?
I have
They-
seen Secret World and Punch
they
the Secret
launched-
World.
They launched with you have to buy the box copy of the game and then you have to get a subscription and then they have microtransactions like in League of Legends and it's like what? What?
What?
How are
get-
you
I
doing
get
that?
you.
How is that an acceptable thing? It's bollocks.
It's not.
absolute
End
shit.
of discussion. It's not.
What do you mean? You
Well,
think
some
that's
people are-
reasonable having
people are
all three
paying
of
for
them?
Some people are obviously paying for it, right?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not.
No.
Yeah.
In fact, that's not obvious in the fact that they failed miserably and they are now free to play.
Yeah, they failed.
World is?
And good.
Secret World is now free
Oh,
to
good.
play and
good.
garbage.
Don't charge people for a bunch of shit, you assholes.
No. Find one way to make your
John
money.
says, "Oh, like he was
Anyway,
the guy." Oh fuck.
Rant mode
Okay,
off.
I can't believe you've done this. All right.
I can't believe you've done this.
We have shot free to play into the ground. The
Well, I
consensus is free to play only works if your game's good and also you don't start charging for a bunch of other shit. You just have free to play and you charge for the boosts and the whatnot, the normal
Okay,
shit.
Free to play rules. Free to play rule number 1. You cannot, just because somebody pays to play your game does not mean that they are better at your game. You can't make it so that they, like all of a sudden, like they do more damage because
And
they
this
pay you to
feels
play
like
your
this feels like
game.
it's obvious and that it's like upfront, but you would be shocked how many games are fucking retarded. Please
Yeah.
continue, Aaron.
The free to play, like things that I'm okay with you charging for, getting unlocks early, making it easier to get unlocks, things like that. This is perfectly acceptable. Getting experience boosts, getting money boosts, all those kinds of things, perfectly fine. But making it so that the only way to do something is with money, no, not okay.
There's a caveat here. Basically, you don't want to limit your strategic options for a free-to-play player. If a person isn't paying for the game, you don't want to say, okay, you don't get grenades at all until you're level 30. It doesn't make sense, and your people will be angry about it because the people who pay for the game all of a sudden have an advantage because they have grenades. Make sure that you have a strategic option for every single slot that is equipable at level 1 for a free-to-play player. Elsewise, you're fucked. Please continue, Aaron.
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff you can charge for in free-to-play games. I mean, League of Legends does an excellent job of the free-to-play model. I don't know of a game that does it any better. World of Tanks had a couple of mistakes. They have since rectified this mistake. Well, most of them. They have a couple that still exist and a couple that aren't even necessarily, the pay-to-play mistakes. They're just mistakes in the game in general. Like not being able to play with all of your friends because you don't pay to play is stupid. You need to be able to make groups even if you don't pay to play the game. That should be fundamental. If it's possible, you should be able to do it. That's the thing. Anything that you charge for, you should be able to do for free in some way, shape, or form. Minus the experience boosts and the monetary, in-game monetary boosts. Those pay to play, I'm fine with. You don't need to be able to buy those with in-game money. That would be stupid. But everything else, partying, if you can do it, you should be able to do it. And you should be able to play with more than one person.
And for fuck's sake, don't remove someone's skill bar because they're paying free to play. It's a thing. It has happened. Don't question me.
What
It
the
happened.
fuck, man?
Yeah, that's just, I mean, those are the things. If you're going to make your game a free-to-play model, the reason that free to play works is because you get those people to come and play your game for free. They realize that they like your game. And because they like your game, they spend money on it. That's why free to play works. I have spent more money on League of Legends than any pay to play game minus World of Warcraft, which I'm quickly catching up to my World of Warcraft total. Because of that monthly
We're catching up. It happened.
that monthly, fee. I did play that for a while. So, you know, I have spent a lot of money, and that is a free to play game. And like I said, paying money in that game does not make you any better at it.
Hey, Aaron.
It just allows you to do other things.
I hate to interrupt you, but we have 4 minutes to talk about Final Fantasy. I'm pretty sure you want to exploit that 4 minutes before the break, and we talk about the trailer. And then we can talk even more about it, and it'll be great.
It actually is a pretty good one to move into. Go ahead.
I want to talk about Final Fantasy XIV, just as a breakaway title to talk about. I hated Final Fantasy XIV. I want to say that I loved it, but I didn't. I hated it. I hated every minute of it. I wanted everyone to love it, and I hated it. So, opinions. Final Fantasy XIV. Let's chat.
It was beautiful and a tremendous letdown. I played Final Fantasy XI. Final Fantasy XI for the time period was very, very beautiful, and in fact, it still is pretty.
So good, so gorgeous.
Final Fantasy XIV was a gorgeous game. It was absolutely beautiful, and they took everything that was good about Final Fantasy XI and threw it out the window, and they took everything that was good about every other MMO and threw it out the window.
And they said, "What's bad about World of Warcraft? Let's use that."
Pretty much. I mean, the game was bad. That's just it. The game was bad. That's all I'm going to say about Final Fantasy XIV. The game was bad.
So, first, actually, John did play Final Fantasy XIV, so I'm curious about his thoughts. He is very much a crafting gamer, which was the best part about Final Fantasy XIV. So, overall, John?
I thought the crafting was a valiant attempt. It was not... I never made anything that I could wear. That was the problem. Was that I liked the idea of going and collecting the stuff. I liked being able to gain skills in your crafting and having it go up by making stuff. I didn't like the fact that everything I made was totally fucking useless. I could make random stuff for other characters or for other jobs, I guess it is, because it's Final Fantasy. The crafting was... It had good parts about it and bad parts about it. The bad parts about it is that I couldn't do anything that I wanted to. I never got to the point. It wasn't engaging, was the problem. I was never like, sweet, I want to go craft more. It was always like, all right, I'm working towards this goal, and I had to work and work and work, and I never actually
work, and it sucks every step of the way.
Yeah, it wasn't fun in the meantime. I get working towards a goal, but it's a game. It's supposed to be fun the whole time. It's not supposed to be I don't want to say a grind, because I get grinding as part of the game, but like, it was painful.
No. Grind is a valid term, because grind insinuates that it's painful and that you don't enjoy the process.
I didn't. I liked the idea of it. I liked how extensive the crafting system was. That you had to make this part to make that other part, and then you make that, and you had to have a certain dye, and you could color the different stuff. I liked the idea behind it, but actually doing it was a painful experience.
And I know we don't really even need to discuss the actual gameplay, because we know that the crafting was the best part of Final Fantasy XIV. The very best. And we just discussed how it was shit. So, I guess we don't really need to talk about the gameplay, but let's talk about the gameplay anyway, about how shit it was.
Yeah, the combat was dull. Compared to Final Fantasy XI gameplay, which was a long time ago, it was faster, a little less exciting, I guess, in general. Faster was good. Still wasn't fast. It was an MMO grind. It was not even as quick as WoW in some cases. A little quicker, I guess.
So they had this shitty, pretty much completely shitty system. It was slow. The developer got canned, pretty much canned. They put him on other projects, quote unquote, as an errand boy. that was of absolutely no significance whatsoever. And they started Final Fantasy XIV completely over again. And I've played the beta for Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn. That's what they're calling the new relaunch of the system.
Didn't
Fucking
you play
fun.
the alpha, actually?
Actually, it was the alpha. Aaron's correct. I also played the beta, the closed beta. It was a blast. It's completely different. 90, 100%, 1000 different from the game as it was before. And we're going to watch the trailer for the close of the beta test for... the close of they call it the beta test. The close of Final Fantasy XIV and the opening of the alpha test for Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn. And then we'll come back. See you in a bit.